Okay, in part one of our subject, we covered the symbolism of Jesus Christ as a sun god, from his birth at the winter solstice to his baptism by John the Baptist at the vernal equinox, to his entering into Jerusalem, which represents the summer solstice in the astrotheological symbolism. The second half of the sun god's life is comprised of his capture, his crucifixion, his death, and resurrection. After reaching the mountaintop, so to speak, the sun god is captured and crucified. The sun god is crucified between two thieves, according to the symbolism. Before us, we see the sun god positioned upon the top of the celestial mountain or hill, flanked on his left and right by the equinoxes, which are referred to as two thieves within the astronomical symbolism. The equinoxes were called thieves because they were thieves of time or light. They steal light from each other. When the sun ascends above the vernal equinox, this thief steals light from his counterpart by giving us more daylight hours. When the sun takes its downward pass through the autumnal equinox, that thief repeats the crime of theft by giving us more darkness in our daily cycle. This is the reason the equinoxes were referred to as thieves within the astronomical symbolism. Now we go to the burial and resurrection of the sun god. So Jesus, in keeping with the sun god symbolism, was murdered by his enemies, but before his death, Jesus had prophesied that he would be killed and buried, but however, he would be resurrected to new life after 3 days in the grave. After Jesus was crucified, he was taken down from the mountain and carried to his burial into a grave down from the mount of his crucifixion. This grave lies in the nether regions of the celestial underworld, and its lowest point is marked by the winter solstice. Jesus, laying in his grave for 3 days, is identical to the sun laying still at the winter solstice for 3 days. The symbolism is clear and undeniable. The life and death of Jesus Christ of the Bible mirrors the history of a sun god. Jesus Christ was resurrected from the grave after 3 days in duplication of the sun being resurrected from the winter solstice after 3 days. Hence, the biblical Jesus was a sun god. He was a product of solar myth and not a living God-man that actually lived and can be verified by history. I think that we have shown, beyond reasonable doubt, that the life of the biblical Jesus is symbolic of the annual cycle of the sun. In fact, all of the major stories of the Bible are drawn from cosmic mythology. There are many variations to this mythology. The sources go back thousands of years. I want to offer some additional information on the Gospels before we conclude our review. The details are in my books, but I want to give you some insight as to why the Gnostic writers gave us 4 Gospels instead of just one story of the mythical Jesus. All of the Gospels are based on cosmic symbolism, however, from different perspectives. These perspectives are anchored to the four cardinal points. That is to say, the winter solstice, the vernal equinox, the summer solstice, and the autumnal equinox. Each gospel has a code within the first chapter which signals which cardinal point is indicated. The book of Matthew signals the winter solstice. The book of Mark signals the vernal equinox. The book of Luke signals the summer solstice. And the book of John signals the autumnal equinox. The location of the sun at the opening of each gospel is key. Also, the fact that the Jews have placed the resurrection of Jesus at the Passover instead of elsewhere is due mainly to Old Testament typology. They wanted Jesus to duplicate the Lamb of the Old Testament. At this point, I want to emphasize that when Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire, the religious culture of the Christians was integrated into the old religious culture of the Romans, which included sun god worship and the deification of selected Roman emperors as gods through apotheosis after their death and even during their lifetime. Jesus Christ falls in line with this Roman pattern. Greetings, friends. My name is Malik Jabbar, author of the Astrological Foundation of the Christ Myth in 4 volumes, and other books on the subject of astrotheology. I trust that you have found this short presentation somewhat informative. You can find more information on the Christ Myth and read excerpts from my books at thechristmyth.com. A link is below in the description. You can also purchase books from my site at a terrific discount. We ship internationally as well as nationally. Also, subscribe to my channel so that we can automatically notify you of future videos. So I thank you, and I sincerely appreciate your time.